if you clicked on this video, then it sounds to me like you are ready to start the healing journey, my friend. And congratulations for making that choice. Celebrate, celebrate, celebrate. Celebrate good times. Come on. Love that you are getting ready to heal. Yes, this journey sucks. Yes, it's hard. Yes, you will go back every now and then and revisit the same problem over and over and over again, because guess what? The more you heal, the more you find. No joke. I have been doing this literally nonstop for 8 days now. And I'm not talking about like the healing I did before. This is like this last phase of my healing process, of the intense healing process. Okay. So I built my foundation of self-love, and then I moved on to tackling some of the problems that I had related to the self-love and self-identity and everything like that. And now I've moved on to this phase of clearing out the old stagnant energy. Okay. And this has been an 8-day process. And I am not talking about 5-10 minutes here every now and then. No, I am talking about 10-12 hours a day. And I am not just doing this while I'm meditating. I am doing this on the go. I am doing it while I'm doing dishes. I am being so very cognizant of everything that pops up, all of the energies that pop into my space, everything that happens here and here and here. I am being so cognizant of it because it is what matters. This is how you train to be in the next level, right? When you are asleep, when you are not healing, when you are in fear, you have absolutely no idea what all of that trauma is doing to your body. I promise you, once you realize it, you'll be like, oh my gosh, I never want to do that again. Never. Just wait. You will feel 100 pounds lighter. Even if you don't actually shed 100 pounds, you will feel 100 pounds lighter. Now, let's start talking about the 5 steps of healing. Okay, and I'm going to give this to you in specific examples. So I'm going to go through the 5 steps of a process of healing that I did. So I will explain the process. I will tell you what to identify, what to do, and then I will explain it to you on how I did it. Okay? All right. So number 1, identify the problem. I use the word problem because I didn't want to say trauma or flaw or anything like that, because really honestly, it could be as light as an addiction to cigarettes, or I shouldn't say light because addiction is pretty hard. Or it could be a root trauma, trauma that happened continuously, chronic trauma, chronic pain. It could be anything a flaw, maybe you have a compulsion, an addiction to sex or porn, whatever it is that you don't have control over at this point in your life. That's the problem. Okay? So identify the problem. Again, it can be anything. Anything that is keeping you from being able to be mindful and present in the moment. Are you addicted to social media? Do you check your phone nonstop? Do you focus all of your attention on another person? What is the problem that is taking away your ability to stay protected? That's what we're looking at. What is taking away your ability to stay protected? And when I mean protected, I mean stable in your mood. We're just going to say mood in this particular video because that's the way that we're wording this, okay? So when I say that, I mean being able to sit in your heart space and know that you have a connection and that you are grounded, okay? Because when we start to wake up, when we start to realize that fear is controlling us or whatever is controlling us, we start to realize the outside influences that are constantly trying to distract us to keep us from sitting in this space. Every now and then we need to just be. And when we have addictions to things like our phones and social media and videos and music, and I mean music, and all of the other noisy distractions that keep us from being able to be in stillness. Because when we're in stillness, we can feel these distractions. Okay? And I want to tell you that the reason why we want to be in that stillness space is because this is where we connect to the divine love. This is where we receive our divine love. Now, there's something that popped into my head and I really want to say this. It doesn't really have anything to do with this video, but I'm going to say it because it needs to be said. If you get your energy from other people, you are an energy vampire. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just because you never learned how to connect with yourself to get the energy from within. This is extremely important because if you're taking energy from other people, you don't know what's in that energy. Literally, you don't know what's in that energy. Think of it like a seed of corruption. Okay? If you are like constantly getting energy from other people and you don't even realize that you're pulling energy from another person and you're pulling in corrupt energy, now you're corrupting your own heart and you didn't even realize it. So this is why we have to be aware of where we're getting our energy from. Are you like realizing that you're getting energy from those videos you're watching? I send you energy when I do these videos. I send a healing energy. I send a clearing energy. Some people don't. Subliminal messaging is totally a thing, guys. Totally. It's not like a conspiracy theory. It's totally a thing. I'll remind you of the Simpsons episode, Even at Niage. Okay? So if you're not aware of where you're getting your energy from, you could be pulling in negative energy and not even realize it. That's why it's so important to block out the outside world and get your energy from within. This is pure energy because it is pure energy connected to the divine and pure energy connected to the earth. Okay? When we gather from this energy, it's not corrupted. Okay, now, this is actually going to be my problem. My problem is being unable to keep up with cleansing my energy. Okay? I am an empath. I take on a lot of energy. Like, even when I'm recording these videos, because of the thankful thing of quantum physics, I can feel the energetic reaction of every person who's going to watch this video ever. Okay? So I can feel the energy that's coming in the future because time doesn't exist at the quantum level. Okay? It's an instant thing. So I have the problem of not being able to protect my energy or shield my energy. So this is what I have been working on for the last 8 days. This is my problem, protecting my energy. Okay, so I identified the problem as energy protection. Okay, now this may seem a little bit like high level for some people who are like, oh, I want to heal, and they're like, oh, how do I start healing? This is very high level stuff. Yes, like I said, I built my basis foundation, I dealt with the trauma, and then I'm like literally dealing with the higher level of stuff. So this is where I am. This is what I've been working on the last 8 days. This has been very, 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 very challenging, and this is where I came up with this 5 steps of healing. Okay, so this isn't necessarily, the same low level like healing stuff that I've been talking about. This is beyond the basic foundation. Okay, now the next step after identifying the problem. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about then step number 2, understanding the problem. Okay, so when it comes to my own personal problem, I understood it as I look at the past, I look at my entire life objectively. Remember, we are looking for patterns in our life objectively as the viewer, not the actor. That way we are separating our emotions. We are not acting it out. We can objectively analyze the entire situation. So I look back at my life. This is part of the understanding the problem. Now, I can look back at all of my life and I can see every single relationship I ever had, whether it have been temporary, whether it had been long-term, familial relationship, it doesn't matter, like romantic, no matter what it was. I'm looking at it from a protecting my energy standpoint. When I was little, I was violated. Very little. I was violated. And because of that, it, 11:11, disrupted my root chakra, which is your chakra of safety and security and stability. And because of that, my ability to protect my energy was out the window. Okay, so I can see from a very, very, very young age that was gone. Now I can look at every single subsequent life lesson and see exactly where it piled up and 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 piled up. And like it became a point where like I had all of this energy, this fear energy that I was taking on from other people and producing inside of myself, unable to release because the root chakra is where you release. And if you cannot release from that root chakra, you cannot release from any of the other chakra. Okay? And when we're talking about the chakra, each one is particular for a specific thing within your body. And I don't want to necessarily say emotion, but kind of, okay? So if I had no safety and no security, I was trapped in that fear mindset, right? Excuse me, which led to even more fear piling on top of it, and then more fear piling on top of it, and more fear piling on top of it, until I had layers upon layers upon layers upon layers upon layers upon layers upon. I'm going to go on and on and on about layers. Many, 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 many layers of fear. Okay. Now that was just the root chakra, the layers of fear in the root chakra. This led to the ability of negative energy to just flow in as much as it wanted to and just leave whenever it had whatever it wanted, or just stick around. Okay. And the very first time I did an energy clearing, wow, I was kind of disgusted with what came off of me. Yeah. Okay, so when it comes to recognizing where the root is, I told you, I know exactly what the root was, right? The root was the fear. That root chakra being basically taken offline at such a young age. I was 3. It would have probably been earlier than that because I had a lot of trauma prior to that even. So let's say 2, okay? We'll say 2 to be generous. It was taken offline when I was 2 years old. I'm 40. That's 38 years of not feeling safe and secure. So we're talking about that much fear, 38 years and 38 traumas on top of that. Okay, 38 years and 38 traumas led to at least 38 layers of fear that I had to remove from the root chakra in order to even begin to get energy to flow. Okay? So the energy was not able to flow, and if it wasn't able to flow, I'm unable to protect it Because I can't even get it to move, right? So now I understood the root of my problem. The root of my problem was literally my root chakra. And I have been, and I will be honest, like I had been trying to clear my root chakra for months, 9 months to be exact. Almost 10 months. Because I didn't really understand any of that stuff prior. Like I didn't know. And we can't begrudge ourselves for not knowing, right? So here comes number 3. Now that, also I said you have to find the root and then you have to follow the branches, right? So after understanding that I was unable to clear the fear and all of the other chakra, because if you can't clear the root, you can't clear the rest of the chakra. Now, okay, so now let's look at my life, my patterns, my relationships, my careers, everything. I take on energy constantly. I take on energy constantly. I have always been the type of person that put myself aside to take on the pain of other people. I don't mean to. It's not that I don't appreciate myself. It's that I felt unappreciated so much in my life. I didn't want anyone else to feel misunderstood or unappreciated. And so I opened my heart to these people to allow them to disperse what they needed to disperse. And I took it on so they no longer had to carry it. But unfortunately, like I said, I did not know how to release this. And so I literally was carrying thousands of people's problems, anxieties, depressions, fears, traumas, addictions, all of it. Because I was an addictions counselor. And every single one of their stories stuck on my heart. So, following out the branches, I can see exactly why I was unable to protect my energy, because mentally I had never even considered what I was doing to myself by taking on other people's problems. I didn't realize that I was jamming my own signal. Don't get me wrong. I still loved. I still cared. I still gave all I had, holding on to so much negative energy. I still had a sparkle in my eyes. I still tried. I still cared. I still helped. But I wasn't able to release. And so, what did it lead to? Tension. So much tension. It literally felt all the time like I had a rod on either side of my spine that was holding my back up straight. Hurt very badly. And it felt like I was carrying 1,000 pounds. Yes, I know, I don't know what 1,000 pounds actually feels like. I'm just giving you an example. Okay, it felt very heavy, the weight that I carried. 10 of Wands energy. Okay, so now I move into the third phase. Okay, the third step. The third step is to find compassion. It is very easy to find compassion for myself. In this particular instance, especially, because it's not that I was doing something bad to myself. It was that I didn't understand how to take care of myself. Everything I took on was with pure intentions, and they say that the road to hell is paved in good intentions. Everything I did because of love. Every single energy that I took on because of love. And for that, I cannot be mad at myself. And I cannot be mad at anyone else. Yes, I understand that trauma was inflicted upon me, but the trauma was inflicted upon me by someone in fear, someone who was themselves victimized. And when someone is victimized, hurt people hurt people. Not even on purpose sometimes. Sometimes it's unintentional. It's just a reaction because they have no idea that they're controlled by fear. And for that, I release, I forgive, and I have compassion. I wrote down here something. This is what I tell myself. Fear cannot understand love. Therefore, I cannot begrudge fear for its unloving actions. We cannot punish those who do not understand the things that they do. Jesus on the cross said, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do." That's exactly the point. They have no idea they're being controlled. None. As a matter of fact, they will adamantly tell you they are not controlled because the fear takes over and tells them, "You're not being controlled. Fuck, I can't be controlled." Ah. It's the fear because they don't want to realize that they are being controlled, because that would mean that, they have no control. That's scary, isn't it? To recognize you have no control. But at the same time, it's freeing too. And I'm not talking about no control as in I let go of trying to control a situation and give in to the flow. That's different. I'm talking about unable to control one's actions. When I step into the flow, I know I can control my actions. I just don't control the outcome. That's the difference. They think they control the outcome and have no control over their actions. I have control over my actions, no control over the outcome. That's the difference between a fear mindset and a free mindset. Okay, so the next one is to 4, release the problem and refill with love. So this was the process that I have been doing over the last 8 days. I have spoken this before, and I talk about this a lot. The more light that we let into our lives, the more shadows we reveal, because as the light gets brighter, we are more capable of seeing the shadows. Now, think about at dawn, okay? When the light is first coming up, the shadows are very, very long, right? Because the shadows are cast at an angle. As the sun begins to rise, those shadows shrink, right? Now, as the shadows shrink because the sun is rising, you can see there's more objects behind casting shadows, right? And as the sun gets overhead, you see all of the different aspects, all the different articles of things that are casting shadows. That's the same as when we heal, okay? In the dark, when we are in that fear-based mindset, we don't see anything but shadow. But as the darkness starts to fade and the light starts to come in, we start to see those shadows. But again, they're long and they hide other shadows. That's exactly it. So it's taken 8 days to clear out 38 layers of fear, 38 layers of self-loathing, 38 layers of pain, 38 layers of trauma, 38 layers of completely ignoring myself, 38 layers of hiding my truth, 38 layers of ignoring my gifts, and 38 layers of ignoring the love that poured into me every single day. It took 8 days of non-stop cleansing. Every time a shadow popped up, I would immediately go through these 5 steps and release it and fill it with love. Now, what is it that I mean by refill it with love? Okay, imagine I release, let's say I have a little patch right here. And this little patch right here is the perfect one. My very first client when I worked in the psychology world, when I stepped into a career in psychology, he was schizophrenic. And he died in my care. When I removed that pain, there was a little hole. A little hole. When I was done removing that pain, and I had removed the root, the hole that was behind, I filled it. I filled it with golden light. And I applied a balm, if you will, a purifying balm. Castor oil is amazing, by the way. And it, like, legit, it really is. Purifies your skin. It restores your skin. It removes acne. It's like amazing. If you've never used castor oil, start putting it in your bath. It's amazing. Oh, and it's really amazing for your hair too. Like, my hair looks like way better now. The curls are actually curly. Anyway, sorry, squirrel. So I refilled it with light and love and forgiveness and compassion. And then I applied balm to let it heal. And then I let it go. The pain, the sadness, the energy, all of it, I let it go. Now, the last one, number 5. Okay, so when I say refill with love, let me go back to 4. Let me get it for you. Particularly when it comes to the energy releasing. I'll talk about my root chakra, okay? When I released my root chakra, when I finally released my root chakra, there was so much that poured out. So much that poured out. And I refilled it. I refilled it with love. I refilled it with wholeness. I refilled it with safety and security. I told myself, and I tell myself constantly now, I am grounded, I am connected, I am protected. This is my mantra that I say constantly to remind myself to ground, connect, and protect. So I have replaced that feeling of being unsafe with telling myself on a constant basis that I am grounded, I am connected, I am protected. Okay? So I refilled it with love. If you have to mantra, I highly suggest it. For example, if you have been living in a victim mindset for the majority of your life, come up with a 3-phrase mantra. Now, you know I love the number 3, okay? Come up with a 3-phrase mantra like mine. I am grounded, I am connected, I am protected. Not necessarily mine. How about I will not just survive. I will be wiser and I will thrive. I will not just survive. I will be wiser and I will thrive. Or, I did not just survive. I am wiser and I now thrive. There you go. Mantra just for you. Okay, so you refill it with love. And if you have to keep telling yourself this over and over again, it's like a muscle, guys. You don't go to the gym and like just suddenly be able to lift 350 pounds, okay? You have to work your way up to it. Or even physical therapy. If you injure yourself, you go to physical therapy to work on that particular area so you don't re-injure that area. And you have to continue to do these specific exercises even outside of physical therapy, because if you don't and you just go and do your physical therapy and then you go home and you don't do your exercises, you're going to get hurt again. So continue to refill it with love. Continue to say your mantra. Tell yourself on a daily basis in the mirror. Every single time you pass by a mirror, say your freaking mantra. Or if you're by yourself, if you're at the grocery store, who cares if someone hears you? Who cares? Mantra. Remind yourself. I am grounded. I am connected. I am protected. I did not just survive. I am wiser. And now I thrive. All you, all the time. And you continue to fill it with love. Continue to fill it with love. Continue to fill it with love. Okay? This is how we control that automatic thought, right? Yeah. Because now, when I'm triggered, I'm like, oh, I am grounded. I am connected. I am protected. Yeah. Even a little dance. Yeah. A little song. Whatever. Whatever raises your vibrations, makes you happy, makes you smile. Makes you go, ha ha ha, you can't get me. I am healed. Okay? Now, so the last one is cut ties, remove the cord, and replace the pain with self-love and appreciation. Now, when you hear that trigger, you celebrate your victory over the problem. So I did a video recently about frequency disruption. The random person on the street that just so happens to trigger you, not so random. Because you're in a good mood, and then now you're no longer in a good mood, you're growling at people. Frequency disruptor, okay? But if that frequency disruptor walks by you and says the same mention after you've done these 5 steps, and you're like, I overcame that. Good for me. Now you're not drugged down, right? You're celebrating yourself. You're saying I didn't just survive. I got wiser. And now I thrive. And you're doing a little dance inside of your head, or even in the freaking street, in the physical, I don't care, whatever. Now you don't have somebody disrupting your frequency or imbalancing your mood. So that's the 5 steps to healing. I hope this helps. Oh, and when I say cut ties, I am legit talking about doing cord cutting, karmic cord cutting, and or soul contract removals and stuff like that. This is like a higher level of spiritual work. So if you're still doing your basic healing foundation, this is not something that you're probably ready for. But when you get to that point, hit me up. Let me know. Or, I'll do a video on it sometime soon. Bye, guys.